Hello, everybody, and this is the Taz Talks podcast. I'm Taz, and welcome back. Today's episode, today's conversation is about something that millions of people experience but don't always talk about openly. I know I haven't, not until recently. What it's like living with someone with a mental disorder. Before we begin, I want to make something very clear. This episode is not intended to criticize or shame people living with mental illness. Mental disorders are real life conditions, not character flaws. People who live with these conditions are loving parents, partners, children, friends, coworkers. I'm one of them. Mrs. Taz is one of them. And we make it work every day. Instead, today's episode focuses on the experiences of family members, spouses, friends, and caregivers who share their lives with someone struggling with mental health challenges. I see some real big ones right off the bat that I listed. Living with someone who has depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety disorder, PTSD, borderline personality disorder, or another mental health condition can be rewarding, heartbreaking, confusing, exhausting, and inspiring all at the same time. I mean, I know I get confused, rewarded, exhausted, and inspired, and even heartbroken sometimes when Mrs. Taz is going through her stuff. Just as she does with me. Today we're going to talk about the realities honestly. For people living with someone who has a mental disorder, doesn't begin with a diagnosis. It often starts with noticing changes. Maybe your spouse becomes withdrawn. Maybe your child suddenly struggles in school. Maybe your parents start acting differently. Maybe your friend becomes unpredictable. At first, many people don't recognize these signs as symptoms of mental illnesses. Instead, they may think maybe they're stressed. Maybe they're having a bad week. Maybe they're just tired. Over time, the behavior may continue or worsen. Eventually comes the diagnosis, or something, or sometimes no diagnosis at all. I mean, I got diagnosed. Mrs. Taz unluckily was unable to get diagnosed. So she has to retest in 3 to 6 months. So by my birthday. For many families, receiving diagnosis just creates mixed emotions. There's relief because there's finally an explanation, but there's also fear. I know that's true. I don't fear nobody more than myself every day because of what goes on in here. Questions begin to flood the mind. What happens next? Will they get better? How will this affect our family? What does our future look like? One aspect that often gets overlooked is the emotional toll on loved ones. People who live with someone experiencing mental illness often carry enormous emotional burdens. Many feel helpless. They want to fix the situation but can't. Others feel guilt. They wonder if they somehow caused the problem. Some feel anger. Not because they don't love the person, but because the illness creates challenges they never expected. Because the illness creates challenges they never expected. Think about that for a minute, guys. Then comes Then comes grief. Not necessarily grief from loss through death, but grief for the life everyone that thought they would have. Plans change, dreams change, relationships change, and many caregivers experience burnout. When you're constantly supporting another person emotionally, physically, financially, it can be overwhelming. Many people quietly struggle while trying to appear strong, though. Many people quietly struggle while trying to appear strong. That's that's tough. And that hits you deep. Living with someone who has a mental disorder often means learning to live with uncertainty. Some days may be wonderful, others may feel impossible. A person with depression may struggle to get out of bed. Someone with bipolar disorder may experience dramatic mood changes. I do. Someone with severe anxiety may avoid situations others find normal. I do. Mrs. Taz does on both of them. Someone with schizophrenia may experience symptoms that are difficult for others to understand. How true that is. See, I'm schizoaffective bipolar type. Borderline personality disorder, PTSD, major depressive disorder. So I understand that on a different level. Mrs. Taz has to see me struggle every day. Family members often find themselves adapting. They may change schedules, cancel plans, monitor moods, adjust communication styles. Over time, this can create stress and exhaustion. Many people describe feeling like they're constantly on alert. They know what kind of day awaits them. They never know what kind of day awaits them. Mrs. Taz, do you ever know what kind of day awaits you? Do you ever know what kind of day awaits you?
Like, personally speaking for myself, like with my disorders, absolutely not. But also with not yours either, so it makes it like a little bit harder.
I know I don't. Another challenge is isolation. Mental illness remains heavily stigmatized. Families may avoid discussing what they're experiencing. Friends may not understand. Coworkers may not understand. Even extended family members may not understand. As a result, many caregivers feel alone. People often hear comments like, why don't they just get over it? Why can't they control themselves? If they really wanted help, they'd get it. Comments like these reveal how misunderstood mental illnesses can be. The lack of understanding often prevents family from seeking support. Many suffer in silence. I know I suffered in silence for a while. Mrs. Taz did too.
Some aspects I still do.
Yeah, some aspects she still does. And so do I. I struggled to even do the podcast today. It took me 2 hours to get around to finally doing it. I gotta go from doing a podcast to a live stream, which that's okay.
In about 15 minutes.
Yeah, in about 15 minutes, and that's gonna be late because I'm still doing a podcast. What helps? Despite the challenges, there are things that can help. Education is one of the most powerful tools. Understanding the disorder can reduce confusion and frustration. Professional treatment can also make tremendous difference. That it does. I just met with my new therapist 2 days ago. 2 days ago. And he seems like a nice gentleman. Seems like somebody I'm going to be able to work with. He happens to know my first therapist personally, and he didn't know my second therapist. He only knew of my second therapist. So the therapist I had the longest, he knows on a personal level. So that will help. And it's like, he asked me what my old therapist used to do that helped, and what my first therapist done that helped, that he could try to incorporate into our therapy. And I told him what it was. So he's going to try. That is wonderful. Speaking of therapy, therapy is next. Therapy does work. If you let it. Medication, when appropriate, helps. Support groups, crisis resources, like the 988 helpline. The 988 helpline is a really big resource here in the U.S. It can connect people to local therapists in the area, local clinics in their area that can help them. It's a big helpful tool. I run a mental health Discord server that has that resource in it for those that didn't know about it. So I wanted to let y'all know about it too in case you didn't know. 988. Healthy routines help. That they do. I'm on a better schedule and it helps me. Here's a big one that matters: communication. Me and Mrs. Taz don't always communicate properly. Our mental health will get in the way of our communication. So we had to take a couple minutes to actually sit down and explain what we're trying to say and get out, so the other one understands what we're talking about and meaning, so it's not taken wrong. Listening without judgment can help build trust. Listening without judgment can help build trust.
Listen and don't judge.
Exactly, babe. That's why we listen and don't judge. At the same time, loved ones need boundaries. I think everyone needs boundaries. You should have boundaries put in place with everybody in your life. And I'm having trouble putting boundaries in place with people in my life. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. It's not something my therapist and I have gone over as boundaries and how to implement them. Me and my old therapist was going to, but then he left. Me and my first therapist talked about it for a couple days or a couple weeks, and then we went on to something else. So maybe I'll start with getting boundaries out the way and implementing those soon. Supporting someone doesn't mean sacrificing your own well-being. That's true.
That's something I'm still learning.
Do what?
I said that's something I'm still learning.
That is something that Mrs. Taz is still learning. I still gotta learn. It's not easy living with these disorders, folks. It's really not. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Think about that, folks. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Caregivers need support as much as the person receiving care. That's true. Caregivers do need support as much as the people receiving care. I didn't know that until my last two therapists told me they were in therapy. And they've been in therapy for a while.
You know that doesn't mean just before a therapist, right?
Yeah. Does yours go to therapy?
Mm-hmm.
Does yours go to therapy?
I don't know. I don't ask.
Well, I didn't ask either, but they told me.
I'm straightforward all about like what we're working.
I noticed that the other day.
That means I need to be able to talk to my friends and you do too about the situation that happen between us, and we need to have people that we trust to do that. Like we already accomplished.
Mm-hmm. You're right. We did already accomplish it. Hope and recovery. It's important to remember that mental illness is not the end of someone's story. Many people manage their conditions successfully. I am. Mrs. Taz is. We may not feel like that from time to time, but the other one's there to tell us that, hey, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're on the right track. Stay focused and locked in on course. And recovery comes. See, folks, I didn't know until 2 days ago on Tuesday that PTSD can go into remission. My new therapist told me that. that we can get my PTSD taken care of to the point that I'm not in the PTSD criteria no more. That blew my mind. I didn't know that. I thought I'd always be stuck with it, but I can manage it. I just have to work on it. And that's what everybody else has to do, is work on it. Many build meaningful relationships, careers, and fulfilling lives. I'm very happy in my relationship. Mrs. Taz tells me she's very happy in our relationship. Do we show that the best sometimes? No. Does anybody show that the best sometimes? No. They don't. Recovery isn't always a straight line. There may be setbacks. There may be difficult periods. But progress is possible. Hope matters. Compassion matters. Patience matters. And that's something that I'm still learning. Is that hope matters, compassion matters, patience matters. I don't got the best patience sometimes. I'm trying to get better about that. I'm trying to be a more compassionate person, but sometimes I get so stored away in my head that I forget how to do that. I'm trying to have all the best hope in the world that I can, but sometimes there's a dark rain cloud over my head that washes that hope away sometimes. And that's not the best. That's something that I had to learn to manage on my own. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Living with someone who has a mental disorder can be incredibly challenging. But behind every diagnosis is a human being. And behind many of those individuals is a family member, a spouse, a friend, a caregiver doing their best to help. If they're supporting someone with a mental illness, remember, if you're supporting someone with a mental illness, remember that your feelings matter too, and that they're valid. That's something me and my new therapist, or me and my old therapist, was working on, is knowing that your feelings are valid. And it's something that I'm still learning to this day, is that my feelings are valid. So folks, your feelings are valid. You have a right to feel the way that you feel about stuff. Whether that's mental illness, somebody at work, something in your home life, etc. Your feelings are valid. Seek support. Take care of yourself. Ask for help when you need it. And if you're someone living with a mental disorder, know that you are more than your diagnosis. You deserve compassion, understanding, treatment, and hope. Thank you for joining me for this important conversation. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. I'm Taz, and this was the Taz Talks podcast. I will see you in the next episode.